meeting June the 14th, 2013 at 1:45 at the Anderson County Museum. Call to order. Invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance will be by Honorable Ken Waters. May we all stand.
May we pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to have this time together. Just ask that you would lead and guide us as we do the business of the citizens of Anderson County. Just pray, Father, that you would protect those that are watching out over us right now, the military, the citizens that are working for the utility companies that are working out of state at this time. Just ask you to watch over them. Father, I just pray that we would conduct ourselves in a way that would be pleasing to you. I pray this in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, this is a rare opportunity, and we look forward to it since the announcement. I think a lot of problems are solved once we begin to communicate and dialogue eyeball to eyeball, like we used to say where I come from. We thank you for this opportunity, and at this time I'd like to go around the room, and if you would be kind enough to say who you are and what is your position, so that everybody will get to know everybody, at least for these fleeting moments. Mr. Lord.
Ken Waters, Anderson County, District 6.
Buster Burns, Anderson County.
Rita Davis, Anderson County.
Jason Phillips, Anderson County 3.
Tom Wilson, Superintendent-elect, Anderson District 5.
Margaret Mack, Board of Trustees, Anderson School District 5.
Coach Dick Smith, Board of Trustees, Anderson 5.
Lee DeAndrade, Superintendent, Anderson 4.
Cindy Steele, Board of Trustees, Anderson 4.
Bud Durham, Anderson 4, Board of Trustees.
Tom Dobbins, Anderson 4, Board of Trustees.
Paulette Great, Board of Trustees, Anderson School District 4.
Hugh Smith, Board Member, Anderson 3. Curtis Wiles, Board Member, Anderson District 3.
Betty Bagley, Superintendent, Anderson School District 5.
Art Cundas, an observer. I'm Danny Hawkins from Anderson County School District 2, Board Member.
Richard Rosenberger, Superintendent-elect, District 2.
David Brooks, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations, School District 5.
Amy Hurd, Director of Finance, School District 5.
I'm Joey Nimmer, Administrator of the Anderson County Board of Education.
Greg Wilson, Editor and Publisher of the Anderson Observer.
Senator Carter, Anderson Independent.
I'm Vic Halligan with the law firm of Childs and Halligan, and we represent Anderson Districts 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Fred Alexander, Board Member, Anderson 1.
David Havard, Superintendent, Anderson 1.
Mason Gary, Superintendent, Anderson 3.
Brian Shaw, Anderson School District 5.
I'm Cindy Wilson, Council District 7.
Tom Allen, County Council District 4.
Eddie Moore, County Council District 3.
Francis Crowder, County Council District 1. We have other distinguished people there in the back. All of you are.
Somebody just came in, but I don't know he's distinguished or not.
Well, certainly we want to welcome you to have dialogue about the proposed ordinance that has been put forth by Ms. Wilson. At this time, maybe I would give Ms. Wilson some opportunities to make some opening remarks. It's sort of, for the lack of a better word, get the ball rolling. And so, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And if anyone can't hear me, please let me know. It seems that the sound is not real clear in here. But if you will check in front of your seats, if you don't have communication from May 20th from our administrator with some initial information, and then basically a printout of how the fee in lieu of tax funds are conducted now. Oh dear. I asked our clerk to make sure everybody had this. Where is our, oh, Gloria. Would you mind, oh, thank you. They were over here. And there was also the language for the ordinance. For the past however many years, probably 3 decades or more since fee and lieu taxes was implemented, and it was basically to make our county and state competitive in industrial and economic development. The fee that was put in place then is definitely in favor of our schools. Our schools occupy about 70 to 75% of our tax bill every year. And obviously, our schools are the most important part of our infrastructure in this county. However, the county, in trying to be able to provide infrastructure and sewer, has in the last 5 years realized that the sewer fund is desperately in its own life support basically right now, if you want to be quite honest. The county had made a measure in 2009 to sanctify taking funds from other sources to make sure we met our debt service because we had been in violation of our bond ordinances. This was an effort along with another series of efforts that we are looking at recommending to put the sewer fund into good financial order. It won't make, well, I should amend that, to put it back into better balance and better health. Right now, if we had anything to go wrong in the county, we wouldn't really be able to borrow money unless we went for general obligation bond. And the sewer is an enterprise fund, a business fund. Some of the measures that we are considering are, one, to end the summer discount, which is about $175,000 a year, that people in that are on the city sewer, City of Anderson, currently get. People on the 6 and 20 sewer line or in Powdersville, they don't get it. The other measure that we're looking at implementing is to have Powdersville begin to pay their share of the operations and maintenance. This is an agreement that goes back to the 80s, predates all of us. Right now, the county has been paying out of the sewer fund, which there really isn't sufficient revenue, between $140,000 to $190,000 a year to maintain and operate sewer lines that were put in at county expense. But all the revenue goes to REWA, which is the old Western Carolina Sewer Authority. We also have capacity agreements that were put in place that are very unfriendly to the county sewer fund health. They were put in, we can theorize the reasons they were put in, but we're paying for sewer capacity right now that's not being used. May be optimistic. We're asking the companies right now to look at what they've been allocated, look at their business plans. If they need to keep the allocation, fine, but we're having to look at charging a base fee per residential unit, and that's a numerical caption that a recent study, rate study, captured in our county sewer fund. If the companies are not anticipating expansions, then it would probably be very helpful to them and to us if they would return some of the allocation to us, because that too is costing our county sewer fund. We're also looking at increases per a base rate and then per residential unit, I think around $15 per unit. And then looking at an overall fee of $6.95 per 1,000 gallons for sewer usage. There are a few other measures along with this, but those are probably the primary ones. So this recommendation, while it is not etched in stone, it's looking at possibly a 3 to 5 year time period where we would capture a greater stream on any company coming in going forward. It will not claw back It will not impact anything going forward as far as those existing entities that might expand. For one thing, that would be another nightmare in paperwork, and I don't think we want to waste money on legal interpretations to see what's there. A company that would announce today, this county would not realize any fee in lieu of taxes for probably 2 to 3 years. So that just gives you an idea why the suggestion was 3 to 5 years and evaluate after the 3rd year. If y'all will study this, and I have to agree with Mr. Nimmer that in reading this ordinance, it's about as clear as mud. And I would certainly hope that after we've communicated with one another today, we might leave here with a better understanding of each of our financial situations and our missions, and try to hammer out something that we can all go back to our respective boards and citizens and come up with a vote to go forward. And with that, I'll sit down and be a listener. If there are any questions, we've got Ms. Rita Davis, who's our head of finance, we have our treasurer here, and our administrator. So we would hope that everybody has a chance to discuss this, and we'll learn together. Thank you.
May I add to that, Ms. Wilson? There was one major one that you overlooked there, the one about IVA. I'll let you explain that, because
Okay.
I just wanted to remind you that.
Years ago, IVA, instead of expanding and correcting treatment capabilities in IVA, they chose to take a grant, run, I think, somewhere between 12 and 17 miles of lift station Force Main up to Anderson. It's an undersized line according to experts. Hardly anything can get on it, and yet it's subject to these treatment costs. They are in arrears right now of $400,000. We've gotten a communication recently where they intend to pay what they have in arrears, probably early to mid-spring next calendar year, but it'll still be within our fiscal year. And there's another issue too, and I forgot to mention it to you, I'm not looking at notes. The Clemson-Pendleton sewer capacity issues. We are looking to reduce the county's obligation there, but keep that access. For example, School District 4, if they're going to be building a new line, what have you. But there's so many elements to this. To give you another example, County of Anderson bills for some sewer usage in Williamston. I think we might make $25 to $70 a month, but it's not even in our financial records that we've been looking at. We've just got a lot of sewer problems. We found things that we're obligated to that nobody quite understood. We're just now getting our hands around it. Thank you. Did I overlook anything else?
All right, I'd like to make some opening introductory remarks, and then at that time we will open the floor and recognize people one at a time so that they can articulate their feelings and their concerns. As you all read the paper, watch TV, I was watching WSBA last night when my good friend, who's chairman of Spartanburg County Council, was defending their position on the fact that they were asking the county, each department, to cut their budget by 5%. These are significant times that we're all facing. You face federal and state mandates. We face federal and state mandates. It appears that everybody wants us to do things, but people do not want to put up the money to make it happen. I won't be critical of our federal partners and our state partners, but that's just the fact of life. But we still have to coexist. The issue is much larger than just sewer. I wish sewer was the only thing we had to contend with. But we have dynamic forces that feel like, for example, emergency medical services is tremendously underfunded. So council members have proposed increasing millage to take care of shortfalls that we've had in coverage areas for our partners in EMS. Secondly, we have shortfalls in our commitment to Tri-County Technical College. Years ago, the counties made commitments to fund them at certain levels, and the millage rate does not quite provide the cash flow to be able to do that. So consequently, we are we will be proposing for third reading Tuesday night an increase in our millage to take care of that. There are other things that we will be looking at to see whether or not we need to increase millage or reduce costs, because we are also reducing costs. We've carefully gone through the budget several times and taken out all those things which we feel like we can, but obviously we have department heads who feel like that we are gutting the effectiveness of their programs, and that is a fine line, because we on council are not the ones who operate the day-to-day operation. We're the policy makers, and approval of the budget, and then the people under Mr. Burns and the elected and appointed officials carry out based upon the budget that we give them to the best of their ability. So it becomes a balancing act. And I know you're sitting out there feeling like if we could coin a phrase, are we trying to balance the backs of education on the backs of sewer? Let's don't put it schools versus sewer, because it's a much more global issue than that. And so I have a great affinity for the school system. You all do a great job. One of the driving forces of economic development has to be the availability of people coming up through the schools to be skilled workers in the plants that our economic development people try to bring to this county. And Mr. Burns and Burris Nelson and others have been highly successful for the size of county we are in bringing new jobs to Anderson County. But one of the shortfalls is the shortfall of having skilled workers to provide these businesses, and at some point we're going to run out of that, and so we're more dependent than ever before with you people working close with us to try to make things happen, because if we don't have that kind of workforce, then obviously we can't attract that business, and the jobs go to Greenville, Spartanburg, Charleston, Berkeley, you know where they go to. So I can only speak for myself, but I think I voiced the whole council. We want to work with you, and we do not want an adversarial position. We want to try to see, where we can make whatever kinds of compromises, or maybe you've got some ideas about things that we can do that we don't have, because obviously we're not know-it-alls. We're dependent upon the community to articulate the needs and the wants and the desires, and give us ideas so that we can all make Anderson County the very best county that we possibly can, so that it can be a leader and not a follower of the Greenvilles and the Spartanburgs. I hate that, because my business was in Greenville, and I saw Greenville go down, and I saw Greenville come up, and it's done an amazing job over 30, 35 years, and they are to be applauded. And so I'm not saying we want to mimic Greenville. I think we want to be better than Greenville. I know that's idealistic. So based on that and that kind of platform, start raising your hands, and we will recognize you and let you say what you would like to say.
Well,
yes, sir.
I just want to say, I just like to say before we get started, I too, as the rest of council, appreciate y'all taking time. We want to work, come to some kind of agreement. I just want to articulate, not disagree, but our general fund, I think it'll bear fruit Tuesday night at our third reading, is in a lot better shape than what a lot of other counties are. We're in trouble on is our sewer enterprise fund, our solid waste enterprise fund. We've got to get this corrected. We can go back and while we're there, but we gotta get it, corrected before we get in any other shape. And we don't wanna, as I said at the council meeting, I don't wanna balance it on the backs of the schools. We've gotta help out and, do what's best, look for the long-term future of Anderson County. Just talking earlier today, some school board members, sort of shocking at the school that I grew up in, my school, shocked to find out how close to the poverty level, how much percentage was that people went to that school or in. So that's what this economic development is all about, is trying to get us above that and get jobs and well-paying jobs. And I want to hear some questions, I've heard some stuff about, you know, it's a very no-brainer to me, you know, people going to easy to say, you know, we get the farm away for in lieu of. This is competition. We wouldn't be where we at. Some of the plants that we've got is would be in other parts of not the state but the country. We was in stiff competition, and they don't have the tax structure that we got in South Carolina. That's one tool we've got to compete with, is fee in lieu of, and it's a fine science. Some of these plants, it's not just the tax base or fee in lieu agreements, it's the offshoot, a bit like this, the trickle down effect, whatever you want to call it, about jobs. You'd be shocked at just a lot of the companies you see, you know, the Michelin's and whatnot, the jobs they produce for businesses in Greenville. There's one with the paper mill down here, First Quality, the local jobs is producing, as far as I'm talking about, the small businesses around, the plumbing companies, the electrical houses, and that benefits all of Anderson. Puts food on all of our tables and everything. So that's what we have to do to compete. I'm very proud of what this council and this administration has done about getting these jobs here to help us in the long run. But like I said, we are here to discuss it. I'm going to hear y'all, and we've got no, I think it's council about pushing nothing in nobody's throat. And Ms. Wilson said, you know, we'd like to look at whatever we do or don't do in the short term, we evaluate it, you know, in 2 years or so, because I don't like to see this council or one council try to tie the hands of another council and fix it. Well, they could have, a new council could have a chance to look at something as long as in the same way as new school boards and whatnot. But it is a problem that we've got to address to make our county as a whole, not just the council or the citizenry, our government as a whole, more solid to about fixing our enterprise funds. That's where we're in, and we have this council part of the blame. We've tried to fix it with Band-Aids over the last 2 or 3 years, taking money out of our general fund. We're to the point we just cannot do that anymore. But our debt level, and I do appreciate this, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, yes, sir. One thing I would like to throw some numbers at you. Our unemployment rate dropped to 6.8% at the end of April. That's the lowest it's been since 2008. Now, in this room here, we represent Anderson County, whether we're county council or school district. When I listen to these companies come in, one of the reasons they're coming in is because of you guys' school system. You guys, we've been talking to some people from up north, so I'm picking up new language there. But one of the things that we're doing that we haven't even noticed is we've been working together, because people out of state, not just the United States, but international, are recognizing that. So I'd like to commend you for the job you've done, and it's been well done. So thank you.
Now, can we hear from, who wants to go first?
I will.
All right, will you say who you are? So we have-
I'm Joey Nimmer, Administrator with the Anderson County Board of Education.
Thank you. We're recording you, that's why.
And I want to thank you for the open-mindedness that you displayed at the most recent council meeting when you decided to table this so we can have further discussion. I think that everyone in the school system are certainly in favor of continued economic development. That's an essential ingredient to see our local economy thrive, and we certainly want to help assist in making that as successful and as fruitful as it can be. One of the essential parts of that, however, is that when new jobs are created and new folks come in, often that impacts our schools, and we have the right, the responsibility, and take it gladly to educate those children. And it is important that we not further dilute our ability to generate local revenue. I think that the fact that this ordinance, I hope, says that the current fee agreements and everything that's in place currently will be intact as we move forward. That helps a great deal. And then, however,
if I could just, I'm sorry, I meant to say it in my statement. This agreement does nothing new, and also if existing plant we got agreement with, would expand, don't change nothing on that. We'll make that perfectly understood.
That's very important to us as a group here. But then, as we move forward, we certainly would like to help in the recruitment of new industry and new employers, and do what we can to enhance the educational environment to meet their needs in the future. With that being said, we can't do it for nothing when we move forward as well. We're limited in what we would get from the increased enrollment. The state does provide a certain amount of dollars per student, but our ability to respond locally has been greatly, the right word to use is, restricted by Act 388, which also impacts you as well in terms of the amount of millage that can be added during the course of a year. And then this would be another sort of a hit to us in future fee agreements that come back to us. So I think I just want it to be known that we certainly applaud what you've done. I think everybody that's a citizen of Anderson County is a little better off today because of the economic development activity that has taken place. I just hope that we can continue to move forward with a situation just like this, working together to lure and attract those new employers, and then making sure that everybody's needs are taken care of at that point. So thank you very much for the opportunities for us to meet with you.
Thank you, sir. Who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Crowder, I'm Lee DeAndre. I'm the superintendent in Anderson School District 4. I'd like to echo Mr. Nenner's comments. We are very much aware that economic development and education are the foundations of the quality of life in this county. And so as we look into the situation, and I certainly understand, Ms. Wilson, y'all have a problem. I mean, the council has a dilemma with regard to sewer. Let me just bring 2 points on the table to share with you our dilemma, if you will, from the school district's point of view. The first is that even though you say it's going to remain the same, the revenues are going to decrease in our fee and lieu line item because no new ones are coming on. Every year as a business or industry depreciates, the fee and lieu revenues that are generated decrease, and as new fee and lieu's are not coming into that line item, you know, eventually in 3, 5, 7 years, it's going to be significantly less on that revenue line item for school districts. So it may sound like it's not going to change, but it is going to change for us in practicality. And I think that's one of our concerns, is that we see the long-term effect of the proposal. And the second one is that the loss of revenue has to be made up. All of the school districts represented in this room have been through very significant financial trying times, just as the council has and the whole country has. But we, in fact, have no other choice but to raise taxes to recoup the revenue. And in fact, as Joey mentioned, we don't have the capacity to even recoup what we're going to lose, but the public's going to see our boards as the tax increasing body. And you know, that's a dilemma for everybody that has to raise taxes, and for every government entity. So that's our, you know, that's our dilemma in with 2 points there.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Wilson.
you're saying that y'all are already experiencing a reduction in your current fee in lieu of revenue.
We have seen a reduction over the last 10 years of about $300,000 in Anderson 4. And if you're saying any future fee in lieu agreements would be diverted to the council for sewer, then it will continue to decrease, and as everything that's on the books depreciates, we will end up with a zero eventually in that line item.
Were you aware that the recommendation currently is 3 to 5 years? And of course, you know, anything coming in, even if a company announced today, it would probably be 3 years before the first fee was collected.
I hear, yeah.
What good, Mr.
So how much do you anticipate, if that's the case, how much do you anticipate being able to garner from this ordinance in terms
Well,
of revenue?
when I talked with our finance people, they were thinking that maybe we would have 50 to 75,000 extra in the next few years to plug some holes in sewer. Obviously, if a major industry came and plunked down in any of our school districts area, then we'd all be coming back to the table if this measure was in place at that time, because we wouldn't want our schools to be overwhelmed negatively. We could put some type of a modifying mechanism into an agreement, say that if a big industry came in that overwhelmed you and you could put the parameters there, then certainly we'd sit down and renegotiate.
Mr. Dobbins, I believe you had it next, and then the other gentleman down there next.
Mr. Crowder, thank you. Thank you, County Council, for inviting the school boards to come and start an open dialogue. In your opening statement, you talked about unfunded mandates, and we truly understand that, not only from the county council part, but from the school part. One of the things that I think that we are missing here today is the legislators. Mr. Alexander, last time we had the South Carolina legislators here too, because they have to understand the negativity that they put on us when they give us unfunded mandate to make pay raises and that thing. And what it does, it pits the county against one another, and that's not a healthy environment for economic development. The other thing, Ms. Wilson, in this, and since we're being cordial here now, and that we're trying to, and we're going to get along for the betterment of Anderson County, you said that in fee and lieu mostly was in favor of schools. And while I agree with you on that to a certain extent, the school districts are not at the table when you guys make fee and lieu agreements with the industry. And we are at the mercy of you to make sure that you keep us in mind when you do make fee and lieu agreements, because we don't know what fee and lieus are due to until after the fact. So in the future, even though Mr. Dunn, it's, you know, even if we go and y'all start collecting all the fee and lieu, I think it would behoove whatever area that the county is going to put a new industry in, that superintendent, financial manager, kind of be brought into the loop to where we would at least understand what's going on and how it will affect our school districts, where we can start planning, you know, for the future, because the school districts are the last to find out about it. And then with fee and lieu, with Act 388, which has devastated our ability to raise any taxes or to raise any revenue to fund education, and then with the loss of fee and lieu, I don't know of any person in their right mind that would want to be on a school board, because we will have no ability to do nothing but yet raise taxes on small industry or small businesses that's in our school district. And so we, as Dr. DeAndre just said, then we would become the taxing body of the county, and I think that's a negative impact for us as well. So again, I think that this is the first step today of working together, and I think that we can work together and we will work together. But I would hope that this is not the end of the meeting. That after the day that before y'all pass this, is that we sit down and we maybe with a smaller group or a smaller body, and that we really open dialogue up, and where we can show everybody, including our state legislators, that we will work together to make Anderson County a better place.
Thank you, sir. I believe you had the floor next.
Well, I just had a question. Curtis Wiles, District 3, Ms. Wilson. Ms. Lady Andrea asked you the question. Tell us again how you expect to gain monetary value out of changing or passing this ordinance if there is that there wouldn't be any that much money coming in anyway. You said something about filling holes and all. What? Explain that one more time. I'm sorry.
We found like the sewer fund is like a sieve with all these holes leaking. A lot of agreements that were put in place long before we came on board have been examined. Right now, our debt service out of about a $7 million enterprise fund is well over $3 million, and the operations and maintenance is probably about $3 million and other considerations. The way it was explained to me, if we could take some of the fee in lieu of going forward, it would help with some of our debt service and therefore our ability. For example, if the 5 Mile line goes down, which is probably one of the oldest sewer lines in the county, and it's got serious infiltration problems, we'd have to figure out how to borrow money, and right now I don't see that we can based on the information provided. In Powdersville, they are growing, that's School District 1. We're not in a position to lay down more sewer line without some income to meet the needs of the debt service and operations and maintenance. I've gone over several avenues that we're looking at to help plug the holes and equalize the cost to the users around the county, because some users have been literally being subsidized. For example, we've got about 4,000 users for the sewer fund in the county, and they're being subsidized by about 186,000 other citizens. So this is only one measure that's being explored to help put it back into good order. And we're open to any suggestions.
The sunset clause that you talk about, 3 to 5 years, help me understand, does that capture what y'all negotiate in those 3 to 5 years, and then it carries on forever, but the ordinance drops after the 5th year, and everything goes back to the way I guess the universe comes back together, or
That's
aligns?
subject to the debate and discussion in this body here today.
Well, what's your
My
opinion?
perspective is that we go 3 years with something along the lines that's been proposed. In 3 years, we sit down again and evaluate. And meanwhile, if a major industry should plop down in one of your districts, then that would be another trigger to go back to the table and look at the pro rata use of those funds. And 5 years would be the end of this particular section, because see, y'all have what's behind that's captured in this document here, this little schedule. And then if any of those industries expand, and we've had a number of those industries expanding, and it looks like they're starting to pay or will be paying larger fees. And if I'm in error, I would certainly appreciate being corrected, but that's the way it is going from our perspective of what we've deliberated and the different agreements.
Ms. Wilson, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I already have Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Allen, he's queued up.
Leslie, did you want to tack right on to what you were saying? Because I'm a little bit different. Go ahead.
What you just asked, that's correct. 3 to 5 years, this shouldn't go past that. Now, recognize that we are elected officials, so, you know, we can't answer what somebody else does. But what I would like to add to that is the question about the 10-year economic development decline. We lost over the last 20 years a lot of textile industry, and our job market went down. This past April, in talking with our economic development department, our numbers are just a little bit above of the textile industry that we lost. So we have those jobs back. So things are looking up. So I'd like to add that to it, that the job market that we've lost in Anderson County, we have that back now without the addition of the new jobs that are coming now.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if I could, hopefully I can clarify some things. Probably a lot of what you got out of this so far, you know we're hurting in the sewer industry. We're also hurting in a lot of other pieces too, like solid waste, electronic waste, stormwater programs, mandates we have to pay for. In your heads right now, what you may have heard earlier was probably a lot of stuff like in the old Charlie Brown cartoon. You heard stuff like wah, 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 and it makes no sense to you. What I would like to do, if we could, I don't want to put Rita on the spot, but if you could just take a concrete example, Rita, like $100, and explain to everybody how that's broken down right now, and then how it would be broken down if the ordinance were passed. You know, how much money goes to the industrial park, how much money goes to school district. I think you've had some examples like that. That might clarify what we're trying to do.
Well, this is, yes, sir, if Mr. Crowder.
Go ahead.
I'd be happy to. The worksheet that you were supplied is the fiscal year that we're fixing to end up June 30, 2013. These are actual numbers, so I just wanted to do that for council and the school district to see how much was allocated. And as you know, of course, we get the original amount of the fee. The upper right-hand corner talks about disposition revenue. It's about $9 million total, the original fee. And then, of course, we have to pay the multi-county industrial park fee, which is typically 1%. We do have one MCIP that's 6%, but most of our fees are a 1% fee. We have to pay that to that partner in county. Then we have, if council negotiates a special source revenue credit with the industry, that comes off as a / industrial exemption, and that's about $1.8 million. Then the county retains a 15% infrastructure credit. It was worth about $1.1 million this fiscal year. That primarily goes to pay our special source revenue bonds that, you know, for other infrastructure improvements that have a special source revenue bond has been issued. And then as part, there's two industries that had negotiated SSRB payments of $170. That comes down to about $5.7 million that's allocated per the levy of the school district in which the industry is located. So I've broken that down. You'll see that the county levy, now let's go to the left-hand side of that spreadsheet. The county levy, our general fund got $1 million, and you can see all the other levies in the county, our debt service, it totals $1,787,000. That's what the county and Tri-County Tech gets to retain. Then you come on down to what the school districts got. The operations, the sinking fund, etc. That totals $3,786,000. Williamson got a little bit. That's why it's called municipals for, what's it in? Military. And then the Fire Protection Commission gets $95,000. So that's the distribution of your remaining $5.7 million. That's how it got allocated the fiscal year that we're in now. So if we're looking at that example, Mr. Allen was talking about, well, what are we currently doing? Let's just throw out a $100,000 fee in lieu of. If we do the distribution as you just saw, taking off the multi-county industrial park 1%, and then we take off the 15% for our economic development. And then if we had for example, a 30% special source revenue credit, that leaves about $54,000 to allocate per the levy. The school districts, counting your sinking fund, of course, would get, let's see, about close to 70% of that amount. Well, what happens is then if that $54,000 that's remaining after we just talked about after taking the other items away, 99% would then go to a special fund for the sewer, with 1% being allocated per the levy. So instead of $54,150 being allocated, you only have $541 being allocated. So a difference of $53,608. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Mr. Moore. We yield for the English document.
District 5.
I mean, 5, excuse me, how can I say that?
Just, Chairman Crowder, members of the council, I'd like to thank you for hosting this and just being new. I just want to make a few comments to spring off what you said at the start. The reality is, the public schools are the economic workforce development and economic development engine. People want to move to good schools, and given a choice, they'll move away from bad ones. And so any cut in revenue, we are a labor-intensive business. The only way we can save money is cut programs or cut people. About 90% of our budget is people. And I can only speak for District 5 and commend them. We have numerous programs that a lot of places in this state would love to have. So we have a district of choice. And when you recruit businesses, that resonates with folks that are coming particularly from the Northeast or from around the world. And with IB programs and things that we offer, and all that was done by design to create an environment where people want to live. So just keep that in mind that as farmers say, you don't want to eat your seed corn. And any cut that's going to cut programs and cut the quality, I think it's have a detrimental effect on recruitment as folks want to come in. Because we're fortunate to have 5 school districts that all work closely together to offer products that these companies want. And I want to offer up that we want to be at the table more with you. And when I met with you, Chairman Crowder, several months ago, I said, we want to be there with you to help you sell this county and let us show prospective employers what we can do for them, because we're going to need to know on the front end what pathways they're going to need to develop a workforce. You know, a lot of this is done 3 and 4 years out. If we know a company like Lockheed is coming, they're going to need sheet metal fabricators and welders. We need to ramp that up with our programs so the workforce is there. So I want to offer our resources on the front end with you when you do that, and I believe through the collective wisdom of the council and everybody here, let's really take our time and see where revenue can come to plug these holes in the SIF and in the sewer without being detrimental to the public school system. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Amen. Who's next? Yes, sir.
Scarlett, David Havard, Anderson School District 1, and I too want to thank y'all and particularly supporters for giving us this opportunity to come speak with y'all. There's several points that I want to make, and I keep hearing y'all throw out, you want all this money for 3 to 5 years, and then we will negotiate. During that time, certainly in Anderson 1, we'd be adding 300 to 600 students, almost equal to a school. And as the other districts, a couple other districts are growing as well. So that I think we're poised for growth. I think y'all know that. And as Burris knows, we certainly want to work together with y'all. And y'all are competing with all the other counties for the manufacturing industry. And I want y'all to know we're also competing with the area school districts for the very best employees. And if we lose any amount of funding that's already been indicated, that hurts us from a competitive standpoint. It's competing against Pickens, Greenville, Spartanburg. That's exactly who we are for the very best employees, and most important, very best teachers. I think, as y'all well know, teaching in the classroom makes an immeasurable difference about who we're getting. But we have to compete with y'all, with y'all as well, and we obviously are trying to do that together. I think the second thing I want to say is when you bring these companies in and you're working through these fee and love agreements, And I think in most cases, they know, they appreciate, they are paying at least a reduced amount of revenues, and right now, certainly the majority of that revenue is going to schools. I can't imagine if a very important client came in or industry came in and they find out all the money that they're paying in the fee and lieu, none of it goes to schools to assist their employees, their workers, while we're trying to serve their families. I would think that would be a very negative thing to recruit with personally. And I think, I want to go back on what Dr. Dobbins said a while ago. Our board members across the county have made some incredibly difficult decisions the last couple of years as it relates to cutting staff, and we're just working our way out of that. And they are limited with what they can do from a financial standpoint or funding standpoint because of what the state has done. And I guess the thing I want to pose specifically to council, and I guess from a standpoint of how it kind of makes us feel, or board members feel, and y'all just kind of imagine as if our school boards, all 5 school boards, Anderson 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just think if they could pass a resolution, and as a company comes into our school district, and they tell them, okay, this major company, you do not have to pay any taxes on emergency services, on police or fire departments. And I'm posing that to y'all because that's, and so there, but you've got to, you don't have to pay any taxes. Again, fire department, emergency services, police department. And where is that going to go back to? If our board could do that, y'all know that goes back to county council. Then you have to find the funds, you have to find the money to actually fund those services for those industries and for those manufacturers. And just think you may have a very small fire department. It's impossible for them to serve a big industry. You're going to have to buy trucks, more firemen. And that's what, in essence, to me, if you could imagine if our board members can do that, and then y'all would have to find the funds to provide those services. And there's nothing, I think we all realize there's nothing more important than serving our students effectively. And we cannot afford, to lose any significant funding on behalf of our students.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That was just a couple points, and I do appreciate the comment, but when we talk about growth, the last 5 or 6 years, how much has the schools grown around the districts?
Countywide, it's been about 1,200 students.
Growth?
Increase.
I got a thing showed it's all districts has decreased 1.6% elementary schools and 3.1% high schools. And that could be wrong. It's just information I got.
That's and I can say for Anderson 1, that's inaccurate. We grew 90 students this year.
We can get that information.
Well, we'd like to have that
because you can get information.
Yeah, we like to get that. And another thing is talk about cuts. I know we can play how we wordplay on things and how much money would you coming year, fiscal year 2013, 2014, how much would the school district lose in the fee and lieu of this one in effect?
46,000 District 3.
This one in effect, 2013, 2014. How much would you lose? Why?
I understand, but he asked the question. I think I may have an answer, but it's in a question. How much do you stand to gain?
That's what I'm getting. I don't know.
We don't know.
Well, so I'm saying you can't base your budgets. What I'm saying is, we can't stand to lose no more because for years, and I don't want to go back and, we got this information, we'll get it the next time we meet. We're talking about this economic development that's been in place for the last 4 or 5 years. We went on for 5 or 6 years, go back and let's look at what kind of economic development Anderson County had in paying little agreements. So, we're talking about a big thing of money, and it could be, and it could be none. And it could be just this district here, that district. But, so what I'm saying is If this game goes into effect, it ain't like, well, you're automatically gonna lose $1 million in the school district. That's just something you ain't got. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ms. Bagley.
Yes, I don't want to be redundant with everything that's been said, but I do want to remind everyone that student-based costs is very important to a school district. And right now, we're paying 2013 bills with $2,000 incomes. The year 2000 incomes. We right now supposed to be at $2,800 per student from the state. And right now, we're getting just a little bit over 2,100. That's funding around the year 2000. But it is 2013. And we're paying bills with the year 2000 funding. And if we could only, if the legislators, which we've already discussed, could get our student-based costs where it needs to be, that would be helpful for all of us sitting around this table. Now, what I want you to understand, we feel your pain, because we've all been there. Several years ago, Anderson 5 lost $11.5 million out of our operating budget. No one bailed us out. No one. The only way we survive is to put priority in place. And look at the different programs that we have had and lost. Look at the people that we had and lost. And we put things in priority, and as they were in priority, that's what we funded. Now, we're not out of that yet. You don't lose $11.5 million out of your operating budget and respond. We're still trying to recover. And my point is, we're trying to recover from that. At the same time, we are $600 to $700 less per child than is required by law. So, when I look at our school district and what we need, I've got to make decisions. The board has to make decisions about where will we put the money, because there's no one to bail us out. And that's what I suggest to you. We can't bail out the sewer. We can't bail out other things by looking into our budget, because we've already lost greatly. And we don't see another funding source coming to help us. So what we need to do is like what we've all done. We have to take another look at our budget and put things in proper perspective and end the priority to try to get through what you're going through. But to take from this in order to pay that, we're not getting anywhere. We're just masking the problem that we're all facing.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Waters.
I have a previous appointment that I made. I'm gonna have to leave. What I'd like to do is make a suggestion that we put together a committee with a representative maybe from each district and someone from council to take a deeper look at this, because I don't think we're gonna solve this problem today. And I don't know that everyone needs to get back together to take a look at this. So if everyone had a representative just on a committee that would take a look at this, then we might start coming up with a solution to the problem.
Let me go ahead and take that under advisement.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't quite hear everything that Ms. Bagley said, but you said you've lost $11.5 million in funding. Where did that loss originate?
I know you're aware of the economic crisis that in 2008 and 2009 that we experienced across the state. And
is that
it's
from
been
ad valorem taxes? I'm just not clear where the...
A lot of that is from 388. The other is from an economic turndown in the state of South Carolina. You suffered from it too. We are
tax revenue is less.
And
As EIA and sales tax diminished in South Carolina, that heavily impacted school districts' funding.
Okay.
We were 3 or 4 budget cuts, and that's
Lost
why that
$1.3 million.
as those revenues diminish.
I've had a request for us to have a break, if you will. We'll break for about 5 minutes for anybody who needs to, whatever.
I didn't even. We gotta start meeting this one.
Oh, that's
I can tell you that now.
There you go.
Well, today is my last day. I would certainly be available.
Over 3 years. I usually go to a lot
That's your only saving grace right there.
Sometimes on what part of Oklahoma are you in? My son comes from the state. Really? Well, I'm in Aggie, and I had a lot of good friends up in the state. And he was making I'm an anxious to get the whole program, but I'm pressed back in. And I know Lynn's being. Oh man, I wrote back out with it. You got a lot of water and bring it with you. Well, good to meet you. Thank you.
That's a big age right there.
Well, let's talk to This is a basic thing. It's not
We're not near the cat spot.
I've not heard that. I guarantee that no ordinance has been passed 10 years ago. We get about 1 million per. But that, that's what's in place now. Realize
It's